Wild weather events in the first half of 2021, everything from droughts and flooding to heat domes and blizzards across the country, have focused attention on the effects of climate change. And here in the Chicago area, Black and Latino neighborhoods are more likely to be burdened by industries that pollute the air, ground, and water, making environmental justice an important part of the equation as the country moves forward. Now, local activists and elected officials are pushing for legislation to address climate change and adapt to its effects while keeping Illinoisans working in a greener, cleaner future. Joining us now with more are Maya Dutta, Sustainability Coordinator for North Suburban City of Waukegan, and Eduardo Flores, a steering committee member of Clean Power Lake County. Welcome both of you to Latino Voices.
Thank you for having us.
Well,
Thank you.
Eddie, let's start with you. What are some of the impacts of pollution and climate change have you seen in your community?
Well, first and foremost, the health impacts are one of the most important issues I see here in my community. 1 in 3 children here in Waukegan have asthma, and that's mostly due to the coal plant that we have, along with 5 EPA Superfund sites that are so polluted. All that, the cumulative impact, we start to see health impacts on our children, on our elderly, people who are most vulnerable. And so that's the issue we focus most on.
All right. And Maya, how should activists and legislators work with and include communities of color to address climate change?
I think that's a really good question. I don't think there is one specific answer for it. I think it's really important to remember that our communities of color are not monoliths. They often have a shared history of oppression, but also resilience. But then going forward, they have individualized views of what their present and future will be. So I think it's most important for activists and legislators to be looking at the specific communities they're working for and getting really into that community, talking with members of the community, talking to residents, talking to people that visit there often, and understanding best what they want and what they see for their future, especially as we look towards a greener and more just future for all.
And Eddie Flores, the fossil fuel industry is a big employer here in Illinois. How is your organization proposing to transition to clean power while keeping people employed?
Yeah, so we like to focus on trying to secure a just transition so that workers aren't just laid off when the inevitable happens and coal plants have to shut down. We want to have workforce hubs that focus in key areas of Black and Brown communities, so that people who want to have these jobs they'll get all the training and everything paid for, as well as people who are working in this industry, they can transition and they're not just left out. They lose their livelihood and they have to find a new job.
And Eddie, let me ask you this. Have you seen any or felt any pushback from people who work in those industries, either against you or your organization?
I personally really haven't. I've seen industry and corporations do that, but more so the workers, not so much. They like the idea of having, being able to get all these trainings paid for, not having to worry about, how they're going to put money on the table while they're getting retrained and while they're learning the whole process and the things that they need to be able to successfully function in those jobs.
Maya Dutta, the city of Waukegan is part of the newly unveiled Climate Action Plan. Can you tell us a little bit what that is and what the goals are?
Sure. So the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration went through a process over the last year or so to create the Chicago region's first ever climate action plan. And it is focusing specifically on local government action that we can take to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change. So those are the 2 overarching goals: mitigate climate change and adapt to climate change. So mitigating climate change would mean decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, and adapting to climate change would mean increasing resilience of our communities. The Climate Action Plan is filled with a bunch of different strategies that outline how municipalities can pursue these actions and achieve climate action that is on a level that is appropriate for municipalities and local governments. And it also provides an opportunity for the suburban areas to collaborate with one another. And it also looks at social vulnerability and takes a special look at environmental justice issues.
Now, Maya, I do know one of the goals for that climate action plan is to reduce emissions by 80% by 2050. Do you think that's an achievable goal?
I think if we have the ambition that it's an achievable goal, I think it's very important to say that it's not only on local governments, that it's at every level of government legislation to make that happen. And we've been told that it needs to happen for the benefit of our people so we can all survive and have good lives. And so that being said, it's achievable because it has to happen.
When you work with Waukegan, how do you get more people of color involved in taking climate action, climate change as an important issue?
Sure. I think it's very important to just think about the community you're working with and identify areas where the community is already all in. So we think about different cultural events that the community of Waukegan is already taking part of. There's a specific community character that Waukegan has that the residents like to take part of. And we just have to make sure that we have climate messaging and environmental messaging within those different organizations and those different cultural events. And so I also think about the wonderful activists we have both at Clean Power Lake County, and we also have Faith in Place, which taps into our wonderful faith-based community in Waukegan, which is extremely strong. So it's really just thinking about what's already there and what the people care about, because everyone cares about having a better life going forward. And so it's not hard to sell climate change in that aspect. It's just making sure it's accessible, which also means making sure we have Spanish and English versions of all messaging that we put out.
Eddie Flores, I'll leave the last question for you. Earlier today, you took part in a rally for clean energy in Illinois with the Sierra Club and State Senator Cristina Castro. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, yeah, we want to make sure that we get a just transition for communities like mine. We don't want to end up with a six Superfund site here in Waukegan. And we want to make sure that we pass the governor's climate and equity bill. It's not just the title may be the climate and equity bill, but it's not just about that. It's about jobs. It's about industry. It's about Black and Brown communities, health, the climate crisis, and future generations. So we want to make sure that we get that passed for the good of our planet.
Just really quickly, the last 20 seconds here, Eddie, how do you get people of color in your area to climb on board with fighting climate change?
Yeah, so I try and connect it with them. One of the things I usually like to ask is, since asthma is so common around here, I like to ask if them or anybody they know, any of their family members have asthma. And then I usually tie that into, the health impacts that we see here in Waukegan.
All right. Well, our thanks to Maya Dutta and Eduardo Flores.